We're talking about quadratic functions. Does anybody remember what the shape of a quadratic equation would be if you were graphing it? I bet you know. Yeah, parabola. Good question. I mean, it's good. I had last class the same, so we had different things. So a quadratic function graph is in the shape of a parabola. Parabola is like a U, if you remember. And so when you look at this right here, this is what we're used to calling in standard form for a quadratic equation, but now because we're talking about two different forms of parabolas, we actually call this quadratic equation form. So quadratic equation. We're not really going to refer to it as standard form like we did when we were solving quadratics, right? When everything was on the same side equals 0, we called that standard form. That's not really standard form because we're not setting it equal to 0. That's why. So that's just a quadratic equation. When we're working with quadratic equation to find the vertex, we need to, do you remember when we learned about the quadratic formula, this was our A, B, and C, right? So to find the x part, I'll just write the x part here. That kind of helps us understand what all of this fanciness means. We're going to take negative b over 2a, and that gives us the x part. When we find the x, we're going to plug it into the quadratic equation to find our y part, and that's all this means. Remember function notation, f of, all that same stuff just means you take that value for x and you plug it in and find the y. We'll be doing that, and that'll make more sense than the symbols do. This, though, is called standard form. We will refer to this as standard form of a quadratic functions graph. So y equals, and then we still have a's in there, just like this had an a. Then we have an x minus h plus k. What do you think h and k represent? Your centers, or center or vertex. Yes, in this case, vertex. So when it was a circle, we called that a center, right? But it's a little bit different with a parabola because we don't have a whole circle around it. The only thing I would say is this sign is always the opposite when you pull it out of that formula because of that minus sign, just like with circles. But notice this is a plus k. So you're going to use the same sign when it comes to your k when we're talking about parabolas. So this page is kind of a lot of information, then we go apply it. So your max and your min point of a parabola is the vertex. So again, remember A is like the first number that you see in either form of the equation. You know, like right here, A, or here. So if A is greater than 0, I would say if the number is positive, I'm just going to write the word, it's a positive number above. That's a better way for us to think of it. Then we know that the parabola is going to open up. So the vertex would then be considered a min. If you think about that, this is opening up, this is your vertex. It's like that point that splits it in half. And so that's going to be the lowest point of your parabola. So that's why it's called a min. What do you think if A is less than 0? This would be a negative number. Negative number. I'll just write that above. So the parabola would then open down. In this case, it looks like this. Your vertex would be a max. It's going to be the highest point, the maximum height of that parabola. So the axis of symmetry is just like if you could draw a vertical line through these parabolas, it slices the parabola into two identical pieces. So it's like you would be folding, if you could fold your paper on the x-axis, it's like you're folding it there and both sides of those little U's would match right up. And so your the axis of symmetry is just the x-coordinate of a vertex. So it's just the x part of the vertex. So in your quadratic form, how do we find the x? Do you remember from up here? We had to use this negative b over 2a. So in quadratic form, if we're just finding that, we know we have to use negative b over 2a if your equation was given to you in quadratic form. If it was given to you in standard form, it is the h part of the equation. And just remember, it's like when you pull it out, it's the opposite sign. Again, that's just a little note for you if you want. You don't have to write that. Because remember, it has a minus sign, so when you pull it, when you say the axis of symmetry, if you didn't label your vertex or for whatever reason, it would be just the opposite sign of that, would be the x part. When we start talking about range, I usually deal with that just a little bit more when we're actually graphing and applying it. That's going to be the y part of your vertex. Right? Because y's are what's giving you its height. It's either starting here, and that's going to be its maximum height, or its lowest height. So y, so when we talk about range, we're working with the y coordinate. Okay, so let's go see what all that really means when we look at it. When you turn the page, it looks really wordy. It says a lot of stuff. There's like 6 things that we do, and I don't really do it in the order that it reads. So I will number it so you know, in case you want to do it in the same order I do. But it says in each of the following quadratic functions, state the vertex, the axis of symmetry, the range, and whether it opens up or down. Label the vertex as a minimum or a maximum, and then graph. Kind of doing it in a different order. But first, before we even begin, what form is this equation closest to? It's not really in any form that we want yet, but could we move something and put it in what form?
Standard.
Yeah, it's closest to standard form. It's just it has y like plus a number there, or minus, I can't remember already. And if we just move it over, then we'd have a number on the end, like this k. It was minus a 3, I guess. So this right here is, if we could just move it, we could put it in standard form. So we would just add 3. So we get y equals 4 times x plus 1 squared, and then we have plus 3 there on the end. Remember, each part of this represents something that we've just learned. So once it's in a form, which generally it will be given to you, but it's just kind of recognize you might need to move some things around and get y by itself. You could put that in quadratic form if you wanted to go FOIL, distribute, and add, and that would be silly. This is the best form, in my opinion, to work with parabolas. So I know the easiest thing, the first thing I recognize when I'm working with things is this opens up. I know it opens up because this first number is positive. That number is like that A that we talked about earlier, and I said it's a positive number. So it opens up. So that's the first thing I generally answer, if it opens up or down. That's the first thing I do. The second thing I do is I state the vertex. So I know my vertex, I'm going to go ahead and label it as well, is when it's in a parentheses, I take the opposite sign of the x part, but I keep the same sign of the y part. This was my h and k. And remember, in the formula, this has a minus sign, so that's why we take the opposite sign. Then I also go straight to my axis of symmetry. So axis, and I just write sim. Your axis of symmetry is the x part, like I highlighted, I think in pink on the other page. So what's the x part of that vertex? It's just a -1. So I try to do what I feel like are all the easiest things first. And then I go graph, because once I graph, I can label the vertex as a max or min, and then I can kind of explain range a bit more visually. So when we graph it, I'm going to do a T-chart. I would always, in my T-chart, put my vertex as that second point, or at least one of the 3 points. And let's go graph it first before I decide what I want to use for my x, because I kind of have a reason why I choose some specific points for x. So if we go over 1, up 3, 1, 2, 3, this is where my vertex is. And so like on a number line, if this was -1, I would choose, like if I were going to maybe choose 0, that would be just 1 point to the right. I'm going to put that right here. So if I would choose 1 point to the right, I would only choose 1 point to the left. If I wanted to hop 2 points, then maybe I would choose 1 and maybe -3. The reason I do it like that is because if you choose the same distance from the vertex, your y parts should match, and you can actually eliminate figuring something at least one time. I'll show you that in just a second. So I'm going to choose 0 and -2. I would not really go further than 1 or 2 points from your vertex is x, from the x part. Just because then it gets too wide and you might get off your graph and can't find it. So to find the y part, we just plug this into our equation, and you can do that all in your calculator. I'm going to write it here. So this would be like saying 4 times -2 plus 1 squared plus 3. 4 times 0 plus 1 plus 3 squared. I forgot my little squared. It just replaced in our equation those values for the x. So let's go figure it. So I have 4 times -2 plus 1 squared plus 3 is 7. So make your calculator do all that work. It does make things go a little bit quicker, if you will. I mean, you can work it out manually. I don't care. And then let's do this. It should be 7 since I chose the same distance, you know, to the right and to the left. So 4 times, I'll still type in 0 plus 1 for fun. Squared plus 3 is 7. So if you do that, and if you kind of understand what I'm saying, your y part would be the same, so really you could just figure it once and know that that one would also be 7. But it didn't hurt to check it. Okay, so let's go plot those points. If I go -2 up 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if I go 0, 7, that's right there. So that's why if you were to fold this paper at -1, the axis of symmetry, these dots would match up, wouldn't they? So we show our little lines that go like this. So we have graphed, we've done the four things out of 6 that we have to do. Then I generally do the max or min labeling next. So is that vertex a minimum or a maximum?
Minimum.
Minimum, because it's the lowest point of that parabola. So we call that a minimum. So I'm just going to box that out just to draw attention to it. And then I talk about the range. Usually write it over here. I guess it doesn't really matter where I write it. So when we were working with number lines, you know, we dealt with infinity and negative infinity. We're still doing that. If you think about number lines, I'm just going to turn my paper here like this. We were usually thinking of it like this was our number line, and to the right was to positive infinity, and to the left was negative infinity, right? So when we're talking about parabolas, these graphs, we're reading them from bottom to top. So what we would say is, because range deals with y's, is y is any number greater than or equal to that y value of your vertex. So 3. Oops, I got really smudgy, I'm sorry. But we're going to write it in interval notation. And so that means if we're reading it from bottom up, the 3 would be written first with always a hard bracket beside it. And it's going to go on up into the clouds, infinity. So to positive infinity and always a soft bracket. So that's how you would represent range in interval notation. And some of the problems on WebAssign, you're just answering maybe the range. Or maybe you're just answering what's the axis of symmetry. It's not that you have to do all of these things at the same time for every problem you do in WebAssign. So just remember where you did each part so you'll know what to look at. Also in WebAssign, be aware that you're not actually having to graph these parabolas, but you're having to pick the right graph. And so even though you're not graphing it, you should be doing this to be able to pick the right graph. You should set up a t-chart and find points on the graph to be able to pick the right graph. Just like if you were having to graph it, and you're just matching, okay, all those 3 points that I picked are on that graph, that's the graph I want to choose to be the right graph. Does that make sense? Because inevitably somebody's going to ask, I don't know how to pick that graph. Well, you should be simulating what you would do if you were graphing it, which means you need to make a t-chart, find some points that would work. Your axis of symmetry is a big one that you can almost eliminate 2 of the 4 graphs with, but then the other 2 points come from you picking values for x and seeing if when you plug that into your equation, what you get for y, seeing if that ordered pair is on the graph in WebAssign. On paper, though, you are going to have to be able to graph this on a test. So you should be doing it anyways. Sketch it yourself. That way you're practicing it. And that's where we're going to stop today. We're just going to do one